Dillon Gabriel's moment was supposed to define him. Instead, it exposed him. The bright lights, the roaring crowd, the expectations built by months of praise, all of it crumbled in a single game. Every overthrow, every turnover, every empty drive stripped away the shine of the preseason hype.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
What began as excitement turned into disbelief, and by the end, even his biggest supporters were left silent. It wasn't just a bad performance, it was a public unraveling, the kind that turns confidence into doubt overnight. As Gabriel's hype evaporated, Shedeur Sanders quietly took command of the conversation. No theatrics. No overexposure. Just results. While Gabriel's meltdown went viral, Sanders' calm, consistent execution reminded everyone what real readiness looks like. The video captures this passing of the torch, from overhyped promise to proven poise, and drives home one message: greatness isn't built on noise, it's earned through composure, timing, and the ability to deliver when it matters most. In a single weekend, the spotlight didn't just shift, it found its rightful home. Dillon Gabriel's debut was supposed to be the big reveal, the moment the hype finally met reality. But instead of a statement game, we got a crash course in how fast public opinion can nosedive. It took just one performance for the narrative to shift, and let's just say, it wasn't in Gabriel's favor. Before kickoff, the noise around Gabriel was loud. Analysts were practically penciling him in as the next great college quarterback. The highlight reels, the training camp buzz, the overconfident predictions, it all pointed to a breakout season. But once the lights hit and the game began, it was a different story entirely. Gabriel didn't just underperform, he collapsed. Overthrows, turnovers, miscommunications, it was a full-blown meltdown. Every mistake added fuel to the fire, and by the end of the game, what was once billed as a star-making moment had spiraled into a viral spectacle. The same media voices hyping him up were suddenly dissecting his mechanics, questioning his composure, and wondering aloud if he was ever really ready. And as the memes started rolling in, merciless and immediate, the spotlight began to shift. Not slowly. Instantly. Because while Gabriel was unraveling, Shedeur Sanders was quietly dominating. No drama. No excuses. Just control, execution, and next-level poise. As Gabriel struggled to string together a drive, Sanders was carving defenses apart with surgical precision. It wasn't flashy for the sake of being flashy, it was efficient, calm, and effective. The kind of performance that doesn't need hype because the tape speaks for itself. And suddenly, everyone started talking. The buzz around Gabriel didn't just die, it transferred. Shedeur Sanders was now the name on everyone's lips. This wasn't just a good game, it was a takeover. Gabriel, for all the build-up, had one job: deliver. And when he couldn't, it laid bare the fragile foundation his hype was built on. Sanders, on the other hand, didn't need a marketing push or a curated narrative. His rise was earned, not engineered. And that's what hit people the hardest. It was the contrast. Gabriel's debut wasn't just a personal failure, it was a reminder of how quickly perception shifts in college football. One game. That's all it takes to go from next big thing to cautionary tale. One shaky performance, and suddenly the headlines flip, the fans turn, and your moment vanishes before it even begins. Meanwhile, Sanders was steady, consistent, ready. He didn't ride a wave of media hype, he let his work do the talking. And in a game built on pressure, that calm confidence stood out. It wasn't about raw talent, it was about the mental game. Composure, timing, and the ability to seize the moment when it counts. Gabriel had the stage, but Sanders owned the moment. And here's the thing, football at this level is unforgiving. You don't get many chances to rewrite the narrative. When the pressure hits, you either rise or crumble. There's no soft landing when expectations are sky high. Gabriel's fall wasn't just about bad throws or missed reads, it was about what those mistakes symbolized. All that hype, all that promotion, only to come up short when it mattered most? That sticks. Fans don't forget that kind of disconnect. Sanders didn't need a redemption arc because he never lost the plot. He showed up, stayed focused, and did his job. And that quiet consistency? That's what changes narratives. That's what earns respect. Because at the end of the day, people are drawn to authenticity. They can spot the difference between hype and hard work. Gabriel was propped up by predictions. Sanders built his own momentum. The irony? Gabriel was supposed to be the headline. But the story became about how quickly the spotlight moved on. That rapid shift in momentum wasn't accidental. It was earned by Sanders' performance and cemented by Gabriel's collapse. And it wasn't just fans taking notice. Analysts began adjusting their takes in real time. Social media pivoted, sports talk shows restructured their segments, and suddenly, Sanders was being framed as the future of college football. Not because someone said so, because he proved it. This entire narrative flip is a textbook example of how fragile sports media hype can be. 1 minute you're the chosen one, the next you're the butt of the joke. That's the price of playing on a pedestal. There's no room for slip-ups. Especially not on your first outing. Meanwhile, Sanders didn't flinch. There was no moment too big, no pressure too heavy. Just execution, composure, leadership. And that mental edge? That's what separates stars from flashes in the pan. It's easy to get caught up in stats and scouting reports, but the truth is, mental toughness might be the most underrated trait in football. When things start unraveling, when the crowd's booing, when the defense is closing in, when everyone's watching, you need something deeper than talent. You need resilience. Gabriel didn't have it. Sanders did. And that's why one game changed everything. The lesson here goes beyond football. It's about timing, preparation, and what you do when the pressure's on. Sanders was ready for his moment, not because someone told him he would be, but because he prepared for it like it was inevitable. Gabriel walked into the season with the narrative already written. Sanders walked in ready to write his own. And now, the script has flipped. Gabriel's debut became a cautionary tale. Don't believe the hype until you've proven you deserve it. Meanwhile, Sanders emerged as the blueprint. Stay ready, stay consistent, and let the results do the talking. It's not that Gabriel can't recover. Athletes bounce back all the time. But first impressions in sports are brutal. One shot, one stage, one chance to show who you are under pressure. Gabriel flinched. Sanders flourished. And in a game where momentum shifts in an instant, that makes all the difference. It's not just about who throws the best pass. It's about who keeps their cool when everything's on the line. Who shows up when the noise gets loud. Who performs not because they're hyped up, but because they're built for it. That's what this story was always about. In the end, hype fades fast. The clips stop circulating. The buzz quiets down. But what sticks is how you performed when it mattered. Gabriel had the spotlight and dropped it. Sanders didn't chase it, but earned it. And now, he's not just in the conversation. He is the conversation. So if you're keeping score, hype 0, poise 1. The game may move fast, but greatness doesn't panic. And Shedeur Sanders just proved that real stars don't need noise, they just need the ball. If you're watching the chaos unfold like we are, let us know what you think in the comments. Is Gabriel just off to a rough start, or is this who he really is under pressure? And is Sanders officially the new face of college football? Hit subscribe if you love seeing hype get fact-checked in real time. We've got plenty more where this came from. So as we head deeper into the season, the message is crystal clear. Hype is nice, but performance is everything. You can have the interviews, the predictions, the graphics. But if you don't show up when it counts, it all dissolves into noise. Sanders didn't just show up, he stole the show. Without the theatrics. Without the headlines begging us to care. He earned it. Play by play. Drive by drive. And right now, the spotlight isn't just on him, it's following his every move. As for Gabriel, he'll need more than a bounce-back game. He'll need a rebrand. Because once the world sees you choke under pressure, they don't forget. Especially when someone else, in the same moment, proves they were built for it. This is the story of how one performance redefined 2 careers in a single night. And it's only just getting started. This wasn't just a bad day for Dillon Gabriel, it was a narrative collapse. 1 minute, he's being labeled a game changer. The next, he's trending for all the wrong reasons. People weren't just disappointed, they were stunned. How does someone go from must-watch QB to what was that in the span of 4 quarters? And it wasn't just fans clowning him. Analysts, insiders, former players, everyone started second-guessing what they thought they knew. Was the hype ever justified? Did people buy too much into a polished package without asking the harder questions about composure, readiness, and actual game-time decision-making? Because that's the thing. The game doesn't care how well your PR team preps your image. It doesn't care how good your highlight reel looks from practice. When the pressure is on and the stadium is loud and you're facing a defense that wants to expose you, your hype becomes irrelevant. And that's exactly what happened to Gabriel. He looked lost. Not in the first game jitters way, in the this might be a deeper issue way. The overthrows were wild. The timing was off. The body language? He didn't look like a leader. He looked like a guy trying to survive his own expectations. And the worst part? It wasn't just 1 or 2 slip-ups. It was sustained. Quarter after quarter. Drive after drive. Like a slow-motion unraveling that everyone could see but no one could stop. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders looked like he was playing chess while everyone else was scrambling to set up the board. His pocket presence? Ice cold. His reads? His throws? Clean, calculated, confident. Not a trace of panic. Not even when the game tightened up. He didn't need to scream, flex, or showboat. He didn't need the sideline theatrics. His calm was the flex. And that hit people in a different way. Because when someone doesn't need attention and still takes over the game, it lands harder. It means they've done the work. They've been in the pressure cooker and came out cooler, not cracked. And that's what separates the elite from the hyped. It's not just that Sanders played better. It's how he played. You could see the preparation in every read. You could feel the discipline in the way he controlled the pace. And as Gabriel spiraled, Sanders stayed steady. No forced plays. No desperation. Just business. It was like watching 2 quarterbacks in completely different universes. And the reactions? Brutal but honest. Social media didn't hesitate. Gabriel went from the future to meme of the day in record time. The clips of his worst plays were getting more engagement than his actual highlights ever did. That's how fast public opinion turns. Especially in college football, where every game is a referendum on your career. But it wasn't just about the ridicule. It was about the momentum. Gabriel didn't just lose a game, he lost control of his narrative. And once that slips, it's almost impossible to get it back. Meanwhile, Sanders did the opposite. He took that momentum and ran with it. Not just on the field, but in the culture. Sports shows started running his clips back to back. The same people who barely mentioned him in preseason conversations were now calling him the guy to watch. And let's be real, he earned it. Because while Gabriel's story was all about unfulfilled hype, Sanders' story was about results. He didn't get handed the spotlight. He took it. Quietly. Strategically. Relentlessly. That's what makes this shift so satisfying to watch. It's not just about a better performance, it's about a better approach. While one QB was wrapped in expectations he couldn't meet, the other was building a foundation, brick by brick, out of actual gameplay and composure. It's a masterclass in how to own a moment versus being owned by it. And timing? Couldn't have been more poetic. Sanders didn't just shine on a random week. He stepped up right when Gabriel fell flat. That kind of narrative symmetry doesn't just happen. It's the kind of thing that sticks in fans' minds for the rest of the season. The contrast was so stark, so immediate, that it reframed everything. It forced everyone to stop and reassess what they really value in a quarterback. Is it the guy with flashy predictions and ESPN-ready soundbites? Or is it the guy who quietly gets the job done when the pressure's highest? We already got our answer. And you know what makes it even more compelling? Sanders didn't need a meltdown from Gabriel to get noticed. His performance on its own would have turned heads. But the fact that it happened on the same day Gabriel face-planted? That's what turned a great game into a defining moment. And that moment is now a movement. Because people aren't just calling Sanders good. They're calling him a leader. A force. A future star who's already carrying himself like a vet. Not because someone told him to, but because he is. And that's what makes this entire narrative flip so powerful. Sanders isn't chasing the spotlight, it's following him. Naturally. Because real poise doesn't need a promo. Meanwhile, Gabriel's entire arc has become a warning shot to anyone who thinks they can coast on projections. Hype can carry you to kickoff. But after that, it's just you, the field, and whatever mental game you brought with you. And Gabriel's mental game just wasn't there. The problem now is, every game he plays going forward will be under a microscope. That first impression was loud, and people remember. Even if he rebounds, it'll always be in the shadow of what happened. There's no going back to the blank slate version of his reputation. That window closed. That's what makes the stakes in college football so intense. There's no grace period. No warm-up tour. Every performance is an audition for your legacy. One bad night can define your season. And for Gabriel, that night hit fast and hard. Meanwhile, Sanders is building something long-term. Not just a highlight reel, but a reputation for consistency, confidence, and control. Traits that win games and earn leadership. He's not just trending, he's turning heads for the right reasons. And the thing is, it's sustainable. Sanders isn't relying on hot streaks or viral moments. His game is built on prep, patience, and execution. That's why it resonates. That's why people are saying he's the real deal. Because he plays like someone who's been here before. And plans to stay. So now we're looking at a complete narrative flip. Gabriel's name is now attached to overpromised potential. Sanders' name is tied to delivery, poise, and rising dominance. And that contrast isn't going away anytime soon. Because this wasn't just about one game. It was about a turning point. A moment where one player blinked, and another stepped in to own the entire conversation. And that conversation is only getting louder. Dillon Gabriel didn't just have a bad game. He had a credibility crisis. And those don't just fade with a couple solid throws next week. The second the game ended, it wasn't just about stats anymore. It was about trust. Can this guy really lead? Can he handle the pressure when it's not a highlight-friendly opponent? Those questions aren't just fan chatter. They're now part of the scouting reports, the press conference subtext, the uncomfortable locker room energy. Coaches saw it. Teammates felt it. You can't fake leadership in a collapsing pocket. You either stand tall, or you vanish in real time. And Gabriel, in that moment, vanished. And what made it worse was who he was being compared to. Because Shedeur Sanders didn't just look good, he looked ready. He played like a guy who's been through worse pressure and came out sharper. That's what truly changed the narrative. This wasn't just two QBs on opposite ends of a stat sheet. It was two approaches to the game. One built on polish, the other built on poise. And that poise? That's why Shedeur Sanders is now being viewed as something bigger than just a breakout player. He's being talked about like a franchise-level thinker. Someone who reads the room, reads the defense, and plays like he's 3 steps ahead. And while all that was happening, Gabriel looked stuck. Like he was reacting instead of leading. Like he hadn't gamed out what to do when things didn't go exactly as planned. That's not just a physical gap. That's a mental one. And it was on full display. The shift didn't just happen because Sanders played better. It happened because he looked like he belonged in the moment. The trust he earned? That sticks. And the hesitation Gabriel triggered? That lingers. Football at this level is cruelly honest. You can't talk your way out of a collapse. You can't spin it with post-game interviews. Because the film doesn't lie, and neither does the energy on the field. You could see it in the body language. Gabriel tightening up, overthinking throws, searching for rhythm he couldn't find. Sanders? Unbothered. Focused. Like he's done this 10 times before. That contrast is what made this so dramatic. Because it's not just about quarterback play, it's about what fans feel when they watch. One guy made people nervous. The other made people believe. And in a game where momentum can flip on a single drive, that difference in energy is everything. So now the expectations have completely reversed. Gabriel's not the guy everyone's circling on the calendar anymore. He's the guy under surveillance. Every snap from now on feels like an audition for redemption, or proof that the hype really was hollow. And for Sanders? It's the opposite. People want to see more. They want to see if this calm dominance continues. And honestly, even if it doesn't, he's already built something more important than buzz. He's built credibility. And that's the one thing you can't manufacture. Because we've seen what manufactured hype looks like. It looks like Dillon Gabriel walking into a game with the world expecting fireworks and walking out with the weight of his own expectations crashing down on his shoulders. It looks like analysts scrambling to soften their takes. Like highlight reels edited in reverse, showing where it went wrong instead of how it was supposed to go right. And again, it wasn't just what went wrong, it was when and how. First impressions matter in this sport. A lot. Especially when the pre-game storylines are painting you as the next big thing. And Gabriel had every opportunity to own that moment. To step in, control the pace, and shut everyone up. But instead, he fueled the fire. And the more he struggled, the more Sanders' rise felt inevitable. Because while Gabriel was crumbling under the pressure of meeting expectations, Sanders was quietly exceeding them. The spotlight didn't rattle him. The expectations didn't shake him. If anything, he looked more comfortable as the game wore on. Like the pressure actually focused him instead of breaking him. That's rare. And that's what makes this story so sticky. People love a rise. Especially when it's unexpected. Especially when it comes at the exact moment someone else is falling apart. It's not just about who plays better, it's about who owns the moment. And Sanders didn't just own it, he stole it. Now he's got the narrative momentum. The confidence of a locker room. The respect of analysts who are starting to admit they underestimated him. And Gabriel? He's in recovery mode. Rebuilding trust with fans, media, and probably himself. Because that kind of performance doesn't just raise questions externally, it messes with your own head too. And that's the quiet part of this story. The mental fallout. Because once the world sees you falter, they watch you differently. Every pass is judged harsher. Every decision is weighed against your meltdown moment. And for some players, that pressure turns into fuel. For others, it becomes a wall they never fully climb over. That's what Gabriel's facing now, not just a football challenge, but a psychological one. Can he block out the noise? Can he reset? Can he play like someone who's not haunted by the weight of what just happened? Because that's the only way forward. He has to rewrite the story. Quickly. Cleanly. No dramatics, just results. Because if he doesn't, the Gabriel narrative stays stuck in that one disastrous game, while Sanders keeps adding to his highlight reel of composure. And that's the brutal thing about sports. There's no pause button. The next game is coming whether you're ready or not. The cameras will be on. The comparisons will keep coming. And no one's waiting for your confidence to recover. So now we watch. We watch to see if Gabriel can regroup and start fresh, or if that one game becomes the moment that defined his ceiling. And we watch to see if Shedeur Sanders can keep building, keep leading, and keep showing the kind of mental sharpness that turns great players into generational ones. Because this story isn't over. It's just beginning. But one thing's already clear, hype is fragile. And performance under pressure? That's the only thing that really lasts. If you're still here, hit that subscribe button, we're just getting warmed up. Drop your take in the comments. Is Sanders the real deal, or is this just the beginning of a longer war for QB dominance? And is there any path back for Dillon Gabriel after that meltdown? Let's talk.